Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much, Dia and Shay, and the Creative Time team for organizing this incredible day and for including us. We are honored to be with you all as part of Moving Chains toward abolition and speaking in relation to Charles Gaines's deeply powerful public work, Moving Chains. My name is Tali Keren.
I'm Alex Strada.
We are artists and educators that have been working collaboratively since 2016, and we are going to briefly present our participatory installation, Proposal for a 28th Amendment, ? Is it possible to amend an unequal system? ? The project was originally commissioned by the Queen's Museum in 2021 to 2022. A site-specific iteration then traveled to the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts in San Francisco, which recently closed, and a new iteration will open at Project Row Houses in Houston this winter.
The project critically examines the U.S. Constitution through questions of systemic repair and abolition, and invites interventions through listening, recording, and collaborative workshops. Opening with the phrase, "We the people," the U.S. Constitution was written in 1787 by and for wealthy white male property owners, many of whom owned slaves. The document is filled with erasures that have led to white supremacist and heteropatriarchal systemic violence, imperial aggression, and land seizures codified in law. It is the oldest functioning constitution in the world, and it's also notoriously one of the hardest to change. Over 11,000 amendments have been proposed to change the original document, but only 27 have been ratified. Our participatory installation is inquiry-based and asks two scaffolded questions. What 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution would you propose, and do you think it's even possible to amend a system that from its founding is inherently unequal?
And it's very powerful to speak here, and we're trying to kind of paint a picture in your mind since we don't have slides. So we're going to do our best to describe the project so you can imagine it. So as you enter the installation, one of the first things you might see are the project's questions posed on large-scale, colorful banners. Each banner is in a different language to reflect the most commonly spoken languages in the site where the work is being shown. And then beneath the banners are what we call sonic soapbox sculptures, a range of interactive wooden painted objects. These sculptures build upon the history of the soapbox as a site of collective struggle and a tool for organizing. Historically, an object for an individual to use their singular voice, our design emphasized listening, mutuality, and access. Design include an ADA soapbox that is fully wheelchair and stroller accessible, a two-person soapbox for collective listening and dialogue, a daybed soapbox for people to lie down and politically imagine, and an individual soapbox.
And two of those individual soapboxes are on Imagination Row, so you can actually go experience them and see them for yourself later on. Each soapbox sculpture has a pair of headphones, which emits an evolving oral archive of responses to the project's questions that have been recorded by past visitors using the installation's recording station. And we're going to take a moment now to play some of the responses that we've gathered as the work has traveled.
I am a senior in high school. If I could propose a 28th Amendment to the Constitution, it would be adding constitutional protection to trans and queer people, especially against trans people, which have been seeing increasing laws criminalizing our existence.
My name is Anthony Razika. I was born and raised in Staten Island, New York. I currently reside in New Jersey. If I was able to propose an amendment for the 28th Amendment, I would propose an amendment to provide equal living and pay for some jobs like Amazon. They make a lot of money, but they pay their workers not so much money, so it's a struggle for them to be able to pay bills and to be able to provide for their families too. This amendment would directly impact my life in a good way because I also work for Amazon. So I understand it's a struggle to be making not so much money for a company that makes a whole lot.
So let me go. Okay. So my name is Anaya. I'm a senior in high school. I think that we need to just make a new system, honestly, because the system was created unequally for like most people and genders. So if we want to get an equal system, then we have to make sure that we include the people of color and women, and like everyone's rights need to be in there. Like everyone needs to have a say no matter how they identify. We can't really use that system because it's outdated. It's expired. We need to get a new one because it's like spoiled milk.
I would add freedom to control your own body in terms of fertility and health.
So my name is Sneha George, she, her pronouns. The question, is it possible to mend an unequal system? I think to mend the unequal system would be to invalidate the work of Angela Davis, Ruth Wilson Gilmore, Miriam Kaba, and other folks, and also folks who've been incarcerated who have also said that this system is unmendable. So instead, I would think that this question is a jumping point where we can come together and creatively imagine what a new world can look like outside and beyond the prison industrial complex and the carceral state.
Okay. So for us as artists who are also educators, it was really important for us to not only create this kind of sculptural container and this installation, but to also think about how to activate the project through embodied workshops that center transdisciplinary dialogue. So for every iteration, we work closely with local legal scholars and community partners to make workshops that center on that scholar's area and the community partner's mission. For example, just in March, we had a workshop at YBCA that was called If Housing Was a Human Right in U.S. Law. The event focused on systemic housing inequities, the push to add the right to housing to California's state constitution, a state constitution which also doesn't ensure a right to shelter, and the critical role of grassroots organizing. These subjects were unpacked by Leah Simon Weisberg, the legal director of the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, and Dominique Walker, a founding member of an organization called Moms for Housing, who also discussed the group's experience occupying and reclaiming a house in Oakland that they turned into a land trust that now houses families who are experiencing homelessness. And all workshop participants were then invited to reflect on these discussions by adding their voices to the installation's oral archive, the sample of which you just heard.
Another workshop at the Queens Museum was Defending Our Bodily Autonomy in a Broken System, Reproductive Justice, Self-Defense, and Community Care, which was planned with CUNY law professor Cindy Suhu and Dina Hadhaug of Malika, a grassroots organization that advocates against gender and hate-based violence. The first part of the workshop was a lecture with Professor Suhu in the body of the installation, which focused on the precarity of Roe at the time, the criminalization of abortion, and the reproductive justice from an intersectional lens. We then moved the soapboxes out of the installation space for a hands-on self-defense class for women and gender-expansive people led by Malika. And the Queens Museum atrium, which is often quiet and contemplative, turned into a site of shouting and movement. So these are just examples of the many, or two of the many workshops we planned together at each site.
As artists, we're interested in thinking about what it means to make a work that is inherently not finished upon, the moment in which a work is shown. So rather, we're interested in thinking through what it means when the opening itself becomes a kind of point of departure for engagements and discussions which shape the project materially and conceptually. So we consider this work that we've been describing as perpetually incomplete, grounded in evolving questions about the possibilities and limitations of the law and abolitionist dreaming. And we're deeply honored to be here with all of you and to learn from the incredible speakers here today, and we'll also invite you, should you be interested in adding to this oral archive, we'll be recording people's responses as part of the soapbox activation. So thank you for listening, and
Thank you, everyone.